Have you ever failed so many times that you started to believe success just wasn't meant for you? Maybe you launched a business and it collapsed. Maybe you tried again and failed again. Maybe you're on your third, fourth, or fifth attempt, and people are telling you to just give up and get a real job. Here's what I want you to know. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the price of admission. This is the story of a man who failed 11 times, lost everything, declared bankruptcy, was homeless, became a laughingstock in his town, and then built a $10 million company. His name was Victor. And if you've ever felt like giving up, this story will change your life. Stay with me until the end. Because the secret to his success wasn't talent, connections, or luck. It was something much simpler and much harder. In a mid-sized industrial city where factories lined the riverbanks and dreams were considered luxuries, there lived a 28-year-old man named Victor Chen. Victor wasn't born poor. His father owned a small printing shop. Nothing fancy, but stable. The family ate well. Victor went to college. Life was ordinary. But Victor didn't want ordinary. He wanted to build something, to create, to prove that he was capable of more. At 22, fresh out of college, Victor used his savings to open a mobile phone accessories store. This was 2008. Smartphones were just becoming popular. He thought he'd caught a wave. He hadn't. Within 8 months, the store closed. He lost $15,000. His father said, "That's okay, son. Come work at the printing shop. Learn the family business." But Victor couldn't. He felt like working for his father would be admitting defeat. At 23, he tried again, an online tutoring service. He spent a year building a website, recruiting tutors, marketing to parents. 12 months, 3 paying customers, total revenue, $280. He shut it down. At 24, a food delivery startup, failed, lost $8,000. At 25, a clothing boutique, failed, lost $12,000. At 26, an event planning company, failed, lost $6,000. People started to notice a pattern, and they started to talk. Victor Chen? Oh, he's the guy who keeps failing. Another business? How many is that now? 5? His poor father. Imagine having a son who just wastes money. His college friends, who had climbed corporate ladders and bought cars and homes, stopped inviting him to reunions. He was an embarrassment, a cautionary tale. Victor felt the weight of their judgment. But worse than that, he felt his own doubt creeping in. Late at night, he would lie awake and think, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm just a failure who's too stubborn to accept reality. His savings were gone. His credit cards were maxed. He had borrowed money from relatives who now avoided his calls. At 27, he hit rock bottom. His 6th business, a digital marketing agency, collapsed spectacularly. He had taken out a loan, hired 2 employees, signed an office lease. Within 6 months, all his clients left. He couldn't make payroll. He couldn't pay rent. The landlord evicted him. The bank demanded payment. His employees quit, angry. And Victor, for the first time in his life, declared personal bankruptcy. At 28 years old, Victor moved back into his childhood bedroom. His father barely spoke to him. His mother cried when she thought he couldn't hear. He had no money, no prospects, no confidence left. One night, sitting on his old bed, staring at rejection letters from job applications, Victor made a decision. "One more," he whispered. Just one more try. If I fail again, I'll give up forever. I'll accept that I'm not meant for this. But I need one more chance to prove, to myself more than anyone, that I can do this. But this time, he knew he couldn't do it alone. Victor needed capital, but no bank would lend to a 7-time failed entrepreneur with bankruptcy on his record. So he did something humiliating. He took a job as a waiter at a high-end restaurant. Every night, he served wealthy business people. He listened to them discuss deals, investments, expansions, and every night, he went home feeling like a failure serving successful people their expensive meals. One evening, a regular customer, a man in his 60s named Mr. Joe, sat in Victor's section. Mr. Joe owned a chain of manufacturing plants and was known in the city as a self-made millionaire. As Victor served his meal, Mr. Joe looked up and said, "You're too smart to be a waiter." Victor froze. "I've watched you for weeks. You listen to conversations. You ask thoughtful questions. You're learning. Why are you here?" Victor hesitated, then decided to be honest. "Because I've failed at everything else." Mr. Joe smiled. "How many times?" 7 businesses, all failed." Mr. Joe leaned back in his chair. "You know what I see? I see someone who's tried 7 times. Most people don't try once. Sit down." "Sir, I'm working. Sit. I'll handle your manager." Victor sat. "I failed 11 times before my first success," Mr. Joe said calmly. "Lost my house. Slept in my car. My wife almost left me. But on attempt number 12, something clicked." Victor's eyes widened. 11 times. This successful man sitting in a $3,000 suit had failed 11 times. "What changed?" Victor asked. "I learned 3 things," Mr. Joe said. 3 lessons that turned me from a serial failure into someone who could build something real. If you're serious about trying again, and I mean truly serious, not just stubborn, meet me tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. at my office. I'll teach you what I learned, but only if you're ready to actually learn instead of just repeat the same mistakes. Victor didn't sleep that night. The next morning at 5:45 a.m., Victor stood outside Mr. Joe's office building. When Mr. Joe arrived at 6 o'clock, he smiled. "You're early. Good. That's the first sign you might actually make it this time." Mr. Joe led Victor into his office, a room filled with books, awards, and photos of successful ventures. But in the corner sat a small frame with a list of 11 businesses, each one crossed out in red. "I keep that to remember," Mr. Joe said. "Now, let me teach you the 3 laws that turned my failures into a foundation." Mr. Joe drew a simple diagram on a whiteboard. "Tell me about your 7 failures, not the external reasons. Competition, bad timing, lack of capital. Tell me what you did wrong each time." Victor thought for a moment, then began. "I jumped into ideas without research. I didn't understand my customers. I ran out of money before gaining traction. Stop," Mr. Joe said. "You just described the same mistake 7 times with different words." He circled a phrase on the board. "Passion without preparation." "Victor, imagine you're building a house. You're excited about the house, the design, the furniture, how it will look. But you skip the foundation. You skip the blueprint. You just start building walls because you're passionate." He drew a house collapsing. "Every time the house falls, and every time you blame the materials, the weather, the workers. But the real problem? No foundation." Law 1. Study before you start. Before your next attempt, spend 3 months learning everything about the industry, the market, the competition. Not 3 days, 3 months. Most people fail because they confuse excitement with expertise. Victor wrote frantically in a notebook Mr. Joe handed him. "Why did all your businesses fail so quickly?" Mr. Joe asked. "I ran out of money, lost motivation. Customers didn't come fast enough." "Exactly. Because you expected success in 6 months. Let me tell you a secret that will save your life. Any business worth building takes 18 months minimum to show real traction." He wrote large numbers on the board. Months 1 to 6, learning and suffering. Months 7 to 12, small progress, still struggling. Months 13 to 18, breakthrough begins. Months 19 and beyond, growth accelerates. Law 2, commit to 18 months, not 6 months. Not until you run out of money, not until you get discouraged. 18 months of showing up every single day, even when it looks like nothing is working. Can you do that? Victor felt the weight of that question. 18 months. He had never stuck with anything for 18 months. "I can," he said quietly. "Your 7th business was digital marketing. Do you know why it failed?" "I lost clients." "No. You tried to offer everything. Social media, SEO, content creation, web design, email marketing. You were a full-service agency, which means you were mediocre at everything and excellent at nothing." Mr. Joe drew a single arrow. Law 3, do one thing better than everyone else. Not 10 things okay. One thing extraordinarily well. Become so good at one specific service that people can't ignore you. Mr. Joe closed his notebook. "Victor, I'm going to give you 3 months of free mentorship. Every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. you come here. I will teach you how to research, plan, and build a foundation. Then you will choose one service in one industry and become the absolute best at it. And then you will commit to 18 months, no matter what happens." He leaned forward. "But if you quit before 18 months, don't ever contact me again, because I don't waste time on people who waste their own potential. Deal?" Victor extended his hand. Deal. For the next 3 months, Victor's life changed completely. Every Saturday at 6 a.m., Victor met Mr. Joe. They studied market research, analyzed successful businesses, dissected Victor's previous failures to extract lessons. Victor chose his focus: LinkedIn lead generation for business-to-business tech companies. One service, one industry, nothing else. He spent 3 months learning everything: LinkedIn algorithms, business-to-business sales cycles, tech company pain points, competitor strategies. He didn't start the business yet. He just learned. His father thought he was wasting time. Another 3 months of no income. But Victor remembered: foundation before building. In month 4, Victor launched Tech Lead Connect, LinkedIn lead generation exclusively for business-to-business tech companies. No website, no office, no employees, just Victor, a laptop, and a specific promise. "I will generate 20 qualified business-to-business leads per month, or you don't pay." His first client, a small software company, $500 a month. His mother cried. Finally, some income. But Victor knew. This was just the beginning. 18 months. He had committed. Month 5, 1 client, $500 a month, barely enough for food. Month 6, 2 clients, $1,000 a month. Month 7, lost 1 client, back to 500. Victor's father confronted him. 8 months, you're making $500 a month. This is the same pattern. You need to stop. Victor felt the old doubt creeping in. Maybe his father was right. Maybe this was just failure number 8. But he remembered Mr. Joe's words. Months on to 6, learning and suffering. He was on track. This was supposed to be hard. Month 9, 3 clients, $1,500 a month. Month 10, 5 clients, $2,500 a month. Month 11, 7 clients, $3,500 a month. It still wasn't enough to move out or pay back debts. But something was different. The clients were staying. They were getting results. Word was spreading. Month 13. A mid-sized tech company hired him for $3,000 a month. Victor nearly cried when the contract was signed. Month 14. That company referred 2 others. Suddenly, $8,000 a month. Month 15. $12,000 a month. Victor hired his first employee. Exactly 18 months after launching, Victor landed his biggest client yet. A venture-backed tech startup that paid $10,000 a month for lead generation. Total monthly revenue, $28,000. He sat in his childhood bedroom, the same room where he'd hit rock bottom 2 years earlier, and called Mr. Joe. 18 months, Victor said, his voice breaking. You were right. Mr. Joe laughed. Now the real work begins. With proven results and testimonials, growth accelerated. Year 2, $400,000 in annual revenue. Hired 5 employees. Year 3, $1.2 million in revenue. Moved into an office. Paid back all debts. His father finally smiled. 5 years after that breakfast meeting with Mr. Joe, Tech Lead Connect hit $10 million in annual revenue. 60 employees. Offices in 3 cities, featured in business magazines, and Victor, now 33 years old, stood on stage at a business conference, sharing his story. At the conference, a young entrepreneur approached Victor during the break. Mr. Chen, I've failed twice. Should I try again? Victor smiled. How badly do you want it? I want it more than anything. Then yes, but let me tell you what no one else will. Failure is not a detour. It's the road. People think successful entrepreneurs are the ones who never failed. The truth? We're the ones who failed the most but didn't quit. He continued. I failed 7 times before I met my mentor. But those 7 failures taught me 7 expensive lessons. When I started business number 8, I didn't make the same 7 mistakes. I made new ones. But I learned from those too. If you're going to try again, remember 3 things. First, study before you start. Passion without preparation is just expensive hope. Spend 3 months learning your market, your customers, your competition. Build the foundation. Second, commit to 18 months. Not until you feel like quitting. Not until money runs low. 18 full months of daily work. Most businesses don't fail. Most people quit during the suffering period before success arrives. Third, master one thing. Don't be mediocre at everything. Be extraordinary at one specific thing. Become so good they can't ignore you. And here's what I learned from 11 failures. No, 12, because my 8th attempt was technically my 12th, including childhood lemonade stands. The audience laughed. Failure is only permanent if you stop. Every successful business is built on a graveyard of failed attempts. The difference between success and failure isn't talent. It's not luck. It's not even hard work. He paused for impact. It's simply this: showing up one more time than you fell down. Victor visited Mr. Joe's office one last time before the old man retired. Thank you, Victor said simply. You saved my life. Mr. Joe shook his head. No, Victor. I just taught you what you already had inside, the ability to keep going. You saved yourself. I just showed you the path. My friend, if you're watching this video, maybe you failed. Maybe you failed multiple times. Maybe people told you to give up. Let Victor's story be your permission to try again. But this time, do it differently. Study for 3 months before starting. Commit to 18 months no matter what. Master one specific thing extraordinarily well. I can't promise you'll build a $10 million business. But I can promise this. If you apply these 3 laws, you'll get farther than you ever have before. And maybe, just maybe, attempt number 8 or 9 or 10 will be the one that changes everything. If this story gave you the courage to try one more time, hit that like button right now as your commitment. Not to me, to yourself. Drop a comment. I'm on attempt number X. Let's see how many people in this community are still fighting. We're all in this together. Share this video with someone who's about to give up. Maybe it's the message that keeps them going one more day. And subscribe to this channel, because every week I bring you stories of people who failed, persisted, and won. You're not alone in this fight. Remember Victor's journey. 7 failures, bankruptcy, homelessness, humiliation, and then $10 million. The only difference between his 7th failure and his 8th success wasn't luck. It was 3 laws and 18 months of refusing to quit. Your breakthrough isn't as far away as you think. It's just one more attempt away.